Hi friends and readers, this is going to be a cozy, chilly reading week for me. This week I am not necessarily sticking to a specific theme for what I read, but more so falling in, pun intended, to the cozy, spooky vibes of October. I think when this video goes out, it's gonna be the week before Halloween, and I am just prepared to get into the mood. For the first book I want to read this week, it's a paranormal romance with some ghosts, and the second book I believe is psychological thriller. So we are really diving into it this week, and I'm so excited to get cozy. It's currently Sunday, the Panthers just won, and I'm going to cozy up with my first book of the week for the rest of the afternoon. It is approaching dinner time, and then reach back for the camera tomorrow to update you and tell you what book we'll be reading first. Talk to you then. Hello, I don't even remember when I last talked to you. I think it was yesterday, which was Sunday. It is now Monday and I am on my lunch break, so it's like lunchtime almost. And I wanted to give you an update on the first book that I'm reading this week in my cozy comfort escape for October, and that is Soul Searching by Lyla Sage. I'm obsessed with the cover. It is definitely giving October vibes for more than a few reasons. Now, this is my first Lyla Sage book. I have seen Lyla Sage all over the place with her series. I don't even know what it's called. The series is called A Rebel Blue Ranch novel, and there are 4 books in it, and you've probably seen the covers too. Done and Dusted, Wild and Wrangled, Lost and Lassoed, Swift and Saddled. Don't quote me if those are in the right order. I think the first one at least is Done and Dusted, and I'm pretty sure that these are Western romance stories. I myself have never read a Western romance story that I know of, but I've put these on my TBR, and you don't even have to convince me because the internet has already convinced me. I also see her all over TikTok, the author herself, and her page and her post, and specifically had been following her post about her new novel, which is not in that series. It's all on its own, which I also think is this new novel, Soul Searching, is going to be its own series, potentially. Let me look. I believe so. It says it's a Sweetwater Peak novel, so I think it's also going to be a series. And I saw her TikToks about it and just leading up to it and it coming out at the end of September, and had just really wanted to read it. And so it's my first introduction to Lyla Sage, and I hopefully, fingers crossed, will then explore her other novels as well. Now, Soul Searching is a paranormal romance, as I gave a little sneak peek in my introduction yesterday. This is a book that I could not find at my library because it's like a brand new book. Couldn't find on Libby at the time, and it's not on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't do this very often. I took a chance and I bought this Kindle book and reading it on my Kindle. I hardly ever actually buy books on my Kindle or buy paperback / hard copy books unless they're just brand new books that I can't find elsewhere. I have limited space to these 2 shelves behind me and not that much money. I am so far feeling justified in my purchase of Soul Searching, and since I last talked to you, I started this book last night while I was doing my nails, which I believe I showed a clip of. I started it on Spotify Premium so I could listen while I did my nails last night. I got a few chapters in. It took me about an hour to do my nails last night, and then I switched over to the Kindle version, and now I did get up well before work this morning and read a good bit. So as you find me on my lunch break, I'm 40% of the way through this book, and that's 134 pages, so my Kindle says, and I'm enjoying it. So let me introduce you a little bit about what this book even is and how it's paranormal romance. For this story, we are getting a dual point of view. The male main character in the story, his name is Brady, and Brady is a upholsterer. Is that even a word? He does upholstery. I believe it was a family business that he took over, and that is because, or maybe his grandpa just taught him how to do upholstery. Anywho's, we know that he's escaping from something in his life that's happened. We don't know what happened. We don't know where it happened really, but he has moved to this small town, Sweetwater Peak. So it is a small town paranormal romance. He's moved here to basically escape something and to do a little bit of soul searching, cue the title of the book. And he runs into our female main character, Collins, which I'm obsessed with. Now, Collins is a photographer and she has gone off and got away from Sweetwater Peak. She's moved on from that and she thinks the only way for her to grow is to not be in that town anymore. But that's been really hard for her because she is a photographer, she's lost her job, and she has no money. And now her family back home, including her twin sister, they are helping run their family's antique shop, which is at risk of being bought out by some big company. So she's telling them that she's come back into town to help them fix this problem, but that's not really why she's back in town. The paranormal comes in, which is not a spoiler, it's on the back of the book. Collins can see ghosts and communicate with ghosts. She's been able to for her whole life, and suddenly in the last few months, that has just been ambulance. In the last few months, the ghosts have cut her off. She can see them, but they're not talking to her and not communicating. So that's kind of the real reason she's gone back home, to see if she can re-spark talking to the ghost. And she's living with our male main character, Brady. He has an extra room in his apartment, and she's also helping work for him while she's in town. Now, I'm just having a great time. As you can see, I'm 40% of the way in, and it hasn't even been a day since I started it. It is really easy to read writing, and I love our female main character. I see a lot of myself in her. For instance, she drives a 2002 beat up Toyota Camry. I drive a 2003 Toyota Highlander. There was also a quote that I annotated from Collins that I really like, because it's just Lila's way of connecting with the readers by giving us a little bit of information about the main character. She said, "There were two things that I wanted as a kid, glasses and a nickname. Why 7-year-old me wanted to be visually impaired, who knows?" Word for word, that was literally me. Her being able to at least see ghosts right now. Brady just thinks she's a kooky lady that just talks to herself. He just calls her funky. I think that it's very comedic and just really enjoying it. And it's definitely a great pick for October. And that's all you're gonna get from me. I'm going to keep reading and update you if I have anything more to say about this book. But so far so good. I'm glad I picked it up and I'm glad I bought it. It is 12:08. I have finished Soul Searching by Lyla Sage. I got up this morning before work and was reading and ended up finishing the book because I read a good bit last night before bed as well. And it was just so easy to read in my opinion. I am gonna land on a 4.25 star rating. I have my phone because I finished on my Kindle, but I took a lot of notes on my phone as well to talk to you all about the book. So in the end, I'm glad I bought it. It was a great book, a great reading, and I think also particularly it's a great book for October. Gets you in the spooky season vibes. Love the side quest that our main characters took with the ghosts in the book and the journey of Collins reconnecting with ghosts. For the most part, it wasn't like ghosts that were very scary. It was more so ghosts that were comedic relief, very nice. And I also liked how our male main character, he sort of never really questioned it. And it also made this this book feel more realistic with their relationship, even though you're throwing in the biggest fictional piece of Ghost, if you are or are not a believer of Ghost. I think it was comedic. I do think it was spicy there in the second half of the book, and ghostly. Also, to be a little bit more vague about their relationship, Collins and Brady, as they get to know each other, working in the same place and living in the same place. I liked how their problems were very their problems and their discovery. They were doing the soul searching, and less the third act conflict of them just being bad people or bad at relationships or bad at communication. So I think their relationship was chef's kiss, written perfectly. And lastly, great plug at the very end of the book. Halfway through the book, I was like, okay, we're not really getting many side characters. If this is going to be a series, who would the next book be about? And then towards the end, I was like, oh, there's really only one person this could be about. And you know immediately the last sentence in the epilogue what book number 2 will follow. And I am excited for it. Hopefully it comes out around the same time next year for spooky season again. So it is Tuesday around my lunch break. I'm gonna take lunch and then start the second book for the week, which I remind you is a psychological thriller, and talk to you a little bit more after work when I've gotten to read the first few pages. Two books in one day. I've just been on a really good vibe or mood for reading. Coming off last week, I read My Friends and Mate and absolutely loved them. A 4.5 and a 5-star read for me last week. Now coming off Soul Searching with a really good rating, and I have picked up what I thought would help me continue on that good rating / good mood to keep wanting to pick up a book, which is why I am already, and you've seen the book already, I'm pretty sure, reading this one on my Kindle again. I am reading it on Kindle Unlimited, and that is because we are reading Never Lie by Freida McFadden, and I am already on page 119, chapter 18, 35% of the way through this book. Now, I've only ever read one other Freida McFadden book. I went and looked today. I read that back in February 2024, and the reason I read it was The Housemaid. That's because I had started my job back in February 2024, and they were doing a book club. Literally my first day in office with everyone, they had been hosting a book club. Spoiler, I think we've done one other book club since then, and that kind of fell off, but the book was The Housemaid by Freida McFadden, and thus was introduced to Freida McFadden. I actually can't believe that I haven't picked up another book since then. It is such easy sentences and easy writing, but thrillers, and so you're just blowing through it because you want to know what's going to happen next, and that's exactly what's happening with Never Lie. I really liked The Housemaid back when I read it, and it's gonna be a movie in December. I marked my calendars. I am so ready. I also love Amanda Seyfried, who is starring in The Housemaid, so I can't wait to watch that. So I was really excited to pick up Never Lie, and I think most of Freida's books are on Kindle Unlimited, which I have a subscription to, so might as well get an easy read to finish out this week. This also, I wanted to go in and read a Freida book, so I went in and looked at her backlog. She puts out so many books. In a way, it's similar to Ali Hazelwood. I feel like Freida McFadden is cranking out books. I wanted to go through all of her reviewed and rated books, and I picked this one because it had such a high rating. It was, I mean, it came out in 2022, and it was one of the highest rated she's ever written, so I was excited to pick it up. The Kindle app itself, it's a 4.4 star of 282,000 reviews. And because this is a psychological thriller and I've read 35% of it already, I really don't want to spoil anything that you wouldn't get from reading the summary, so I'm just gonna quickly read the summary for you. This book is following Trisha and Ethan. They are newlyweds and they are looking for the house of their dreams, so they're doing a bunch of house tours. They do visit this remote manor that once belonged to Dr. Adrienne Hale. She is a renowned psychiatrist. She vanished without a trace 4 years before we're currently taking place. However, on their way to visit this house to see if it's something they want to buy, they get trapped in a winter storm. The husband is driving like a BMW, so there's just no way way they're going to be able to drive away from it. So they're waiting for the weather to die down essentially, and they were not prepared at all to be snowed in to something like this. In the summary, it says that our female main character, Trisha, goes on a search for a book amongst the books all in the house to keep herself entertained, and she happens upon a secret room where she discovers every single patient Dr. Hale has ever interviewed because Dr. Hale kept a cassette tape. And as Trisha listens to the cassette tape, she learns about the terrifying events that lead up to the disappearance of Dr. Hale. And that's where I'll stop with the summary. I am not one who can ever guess the ending or put together clues. I learned that when I was trying to read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and I don't have that many thrillers under my belt. So reading this, I was really trying, honestly, put clues together, but honestly not as well, because I kind of just wanted to read through it mindlessly and just be absolutely shocked at the end. However, I started to put together something that wasn't directly stated. I was like, oh wait, am I actually picking up on something? But mark my words, every time I ever say that, I'm completely wrong, or I'm kind of right, but not really. So I'm gonna hold on to this thought to see if it comes to fruition at the end of this book, and it probably won't. I don't think this book would be as highly rated if everyone was picking it up only 35% into it. It is Tuesday evening though, and so I work a bit in person tomorrow and have a little bit of a long drive to work there and back. So I'm gonna probably listen to this on my ride to work and my ride home from work, and I may just end up finishing it because it is so fast paced. But I'll keep you updated tomorrow and see how we're liking it. So far, I'm captivated. We are back. It is about 6:20 on Wednesday evening, and believe it or not, I've actually finished Never Lie by Freida McFadden. This book is 335 pages, and I read it. Oh wait, no it's not. That's the acknowledgements. It's 330 something pages. My Kindle is tweaking, and it was just an absolute breeze to fly through this book. I started it yesterday, and then I finished it today. I did read some last night in between the breaks of Dancing with the Stars, the commercial breaks for Wicked Night, which was so good. This is my first year watching Dancing with the Stars, and I'm quite enjoying it. And then I listened to it on Spotify Premium with some free access hours on my way to work this morning. And then I finished the last 30 or so minutes on my lunch break outside. It was such a nice fall breeze day, and I wish you could have seen my face in the car this morning on the way to work when the plot twist happened and who we've been trying to figure out this whole time. We figured out in the car. I was driving and I heard it go off, and I had to pause it and be like, wait a second, is that who they just said? And then sat there in silence while I was driving for another 3 minutes because I was merging interstates. I was confused and I was scared, and then pressed play, rewinded 30 seconds and said, that is who they said. And then after that, another plot reveal, and then after that, another plot reveal. And I, like I said, mark my words from earlier in the video, did not guess correctly, was not even close. It was the exact opposite, which I told you was going to be the case. I wish, no, honestly, I don't wish. I like that when I read these psychological thrillers or these thrillers, I know that side characters come up for a particular reason, and they may be necessary or they may not be necessary to the plot twist, but necessary to someone else in the plot twist. But I can never put that together on my own. And I love at the end of these Freida McFadden books when she just strings together so lovely all the things I did not pick up on to reveal the twists and the turns. With stories like these, even they're definitely fictional stories. Yes, could they happen in real life, and have they? Probably, maybe. Is it happening in my everyday life? Absolutely not. So it's just mindlessly reading until you reveal one thing and the next and the next and the next. And I loved it. So I rated it at 4.25 stars. Honestly, the only reason it's not a 5-star is just because it just didn't give the 5-star feeling, but I have no negatives for it. I, so far, 2 for 2 on Freida McFadden books and just being able to read them so easily, and would recommend if there's a Freida McFadden book besides The Housemaid or Never Lie that you're like, yes, you need to pick up, please let me know, and especially let me know if it's on Kindle Unlimited. I think that reading this week made me understand that the last 2 weeks really, just kind of reading, especially mood reading books that I've been wanting to read, I've rated them all a 4-star or above the last 4 books for the last 2 weeks, and I want to do more of that. Let me know some of your favorite reads down below. I'm going on vacation this weekend in a cozy fall mountain trip, And I will catch you after that next week. Bye for now.